right, welcome everybody to our last live session for DES 242, Logo and Identity Design. Due to the Thanksgiving holiday, we're only going to have one live session this week. So I've kind of just opened up both of my slide presentations, and I will share both of my slides. They were actually kind of brief for this week. And I'll share both of them with you in the announcements. But yeah, so I'm going to kind of do a mishmash of both of the presentations that I was going to do, and we'll just see how it goes tonight. All right, so why don't we hop over into the course even before I take a look at my agenda for the evening, and let's just take a look at our discussion, our assignment, our assessment, and then the career integration quiz, so we can just get that out of the way. And then I have a couple of announcements as well. So we'll start at the discussion for this week. So this is a course that has gone through a course rewrite. So there is a week 4 discussion for this week, and it's on the value of corporate identity. So we're going to define the importance of designing a logo and corporate identity for a variety of formats and delivery platforms. As has been noted throughout this course, although the design of a logo is a key element in communicating the values and character of a company to a wider audience, a comprehensive identity system and structure backing up the logo is equally important to ensure that the company presents a consistent image through a variety of elements. Whether on a store, a restaurant, or a sign, an audience will always encounter a logo within the context of something larger. Thus, it is vital to provide clear direction to keep the visual experience cohesive. Consistency is at the heart of identity systems. Corporate identity systems became widespread in the latter part of the 20th century. As corporations began to diversify the scope of their services, it became important to find a way to visually represent and translate the look and feel of the parent company over a variety of diverse elements. Today, a corporate identity system is developed soon after the development of a logo. In addition to considering how physical artifacts, vehicles, clothing, packaging, etc. might embrace and extend the look of the logo, it is beneficial to consider how the logo should be extended digitally. Websites, social media, apps, there's so much out there right now. Though developing an identity system creates another step in the design process, ultimately it is beneficial because it ensures that the company image remains strong and unique. So for this discussion, imagine you have been hired to create a logo for a fishing and boat rental business. At your first meeting, they revealed that in addition to leading guided fishing trips and renting boats, they also have dinner cruises, own a boat storage facility, operate 3 bait and tackle shops, and are in the final stages of developing their own line of nautical rain gear and outerwear. When you ask them if all of these different businesses relate somehow visually, they respond by saying that they never really thought about establishing a cohesive identity and inquire more about what might be involved. After learning all you have this mod regarding logo and identity design, how might you respond to this client regarding the importance of establishing a cohesive identity? What are the benefits for them in having not just a logo, but a whole identity system? How would you explain how your own design process would shift if you were designing an identity system versus a single logo? What elements could they expect you to deliver? Conversely, how might it impact pricing and timelines? For your citation, you might use articles that show examples of how a cohesive corporate identity system leads to better consumer loyalty. You can also find articles from experts that suggest how to best engage in project discussion and negotiation with clients when engaged in graphic design projects. Your initial and reply posts should work to develop a group understanding of this topic, challenge each other, build on each other, always be respectful, but discuss this and figure it out together. So there are so many businesses that have a corporate identity system. All you really need to do to find that is, a lot of times if you're looking for their brand assets, so let's say that I want to use the Facebook logo on my website because I also have a Facebook page. So I would pull up the Facebook brand assets page, and there's an entire write-up on how I can use their logo, the correct ways to use it, you know, the way the interface looks, the specific templates, everything. The guidelines to using their logo. So this is part of that identity system. So these, do's and don'ts. It shows you how close items can be to the logo. And you can see like there needs to be space around the logo. You can't modify the colors. You can't modify the fonts. You can't do something like this. You can't represent the Facebook brand in a way that implies that you are have a partnership with Facebook or a sponsorship or an endorsement by using their logo so large that it looks like it's a Facebook page. You can't pluralize the Facebook trademark, use it as a verb, or abbreviate it. You can't use the Facebook logo in place of the word Facebook. You can't put the Facebook logo on your merchandising. There is an entire identity guide that you can look at. This will help you for this week. Twitter has the same exact thing. Almost all of the social media sites have an entire brand asset guide, which is their identity system. So, when you're trying to figure out how to build your own brand identity system, which is part of your week 4 assignment, look and see what other companies are doing out there. All right, so let's take a look now at the assignment for this week. So this is the second part of your personal logo design. What we're going to do is we're going to analyze the role of color in differentiating logo design in corporate identities. So because people have an immediate emotional response to any given color, color is one of the most important elements to consider in logo design. A company who wants to present a fresh, positive, upbeat personality would most likely never settle for an all gray and brown color scheme for their logo. Conversely, a company who wants to present a stable, professional, responsible personality would most likely never embrace a color scheme featuring bubblegum pinks, neon yellows, and acid green. Personality is reinforced or undermined by color, thus it is vital when designing to consider not only color relationships within a logo, but larger cultural color representations. So here's our prompt for this week and the project overview. Last week you worked on the preliminary sketches and the black and white computer versions of your personal logo design project. Coming into this week, you should have 3 refined computer versions of your redesigned logo executed in black and white. After receiving your feedback from me, this week you will finalize the logo direction that you feel is the most appropriate, and you're going to create a logo sheet showcasing its appearance in a variety of sizes and situations. So you need to pick one of the 3. So after receiving your feedback on your week 3 submissions, refine the logo direction that you feel is most appropriate. Consider how you can best maintain message consistency within a typeface, color, and overall logo composition. In addition, create and implement a color scheme for your logo that uses at least 2 colors in addition to your black and white version. So you would have like a black and white version, and then you would have a color version that has at least 2 colors. You don't have to have 2 colors plus black and white. That's worded a little bit weird. So here's your instructions. Once you've completed your logo, you're going to create a logo usage guide for your single chosen logo that includes the following elements: a title bar with your name and your business name, if that's applicable. So if my name is Shannon McNamara, but my business name is Pixelate Design, I need to put both of those in my title bar. Then I'm going to have on page 2 my logo or on page 1, my logo in black and white. Don't use any tints or anything less than 100% opacity of black. So it has to be true black and white. Next, you'll have a page that has the logo in grayscale. This is often an equivalent value of the colors it represents. So yellow is often represented at 10 to 15% gray, and red is often represented at 80 to 85% gray. So same as we did during week 2. You'll make that color version first, and then you'll create the grayscale version from that. And if you create the grayscale version from your color version, and you're like, ooh, some of these grays look a little bit too close, it is definitely okay to go in there and tweak those grays a little bit so you have some good contrast in your grays. Then you'll show, same as we did in week 2, the color swatches and the key showing the CMYK callouts, a color swatch and key showing the RGB and hex code callouts. So to get your hex codes, I can show you this real quick. There's 2 ways to get them. You should really, when you're picking your color scheme, be using Adobe Color. And Adobe Color will give you the hex codes as well. They are right down here. So you can copy and paste them right out of Adobe Color when you put together your color scheme. That's your hex code. And it'll even give you the RGB color values as well. So it doesn't give you CMYK. That you'll have to do in either Photoshop or Illustrator. Illustrator will do it. You're going to show your color logo in 1 inch, 3 inch, and 6 inches, same as you did in week 2. Then you'll show that black and white logo in 1 inch, 3 inch, and 6 inches. Then you'll have a color and black and white logo shown on a dark background. Remember when we did the dark background in week 2? I said to use either 40 or 50% gray for the black background. You didn't have to use 100% black. It's not a black background, it's just a dark background. And then you'll do a logo with safe zones outlined. So kind of like Facebook did, where they show you, where was it? The safe zone. And the safe zone is up to you. You're the designer. So it's really up to you and what you want for a safe zone around your logo, how much space you insist on having. Use the logo, try putting your logo in a couple of different situations this week and see how it looks, with maybe a 1 inch safe zone, maybe it needs to be 2 inches. It really depends on your logo. And then typography overview for the type used. So if you have used a font in your logo, name that font and put it with, as part of a typography overview. And another thing that you can even add, which would be something a little bit extra, but I really suggest that you do it, is let's say that you've chosen a sans serif font. You can put in your typography overview that my logo is Futura Standard Medium, and acceptable fonts that can be used with my logo are serif fonts or other, or Futura. But you cannot use other sans serif fonts, so there's not, 2 sans serif fonts on the page, conflicting with your logo. That's something you can put in your typography overview. And then you're going to lay out all of this information in a cohesive, well-organized manner in InDesign, standard letter size. You know what? You can do it standard letter size. If you want to make something a little bit more creative with a booklet that would be handed out, and you want to get a little bit creative with the size of your booklet, you can do that. This is your usage guide. You come up with the design of this. You kind of have a structure that you can follow from week 2, but this is for you. So be creative. How do you want to create your usage guide? It's really up to you. I would love to see something other than 8.5 by 11. So you'll export your document as a multi-page PDF and name it accordingly. Best practice, always keep that native work file for future revisions if you need it after this class is over. You're definitely going to need them when you reach your portfolio or your capstone classes. So have fun with this week. You know, this is a logo that you can potentially use if you start doing freelance work. So, you know, lay it out nice. This is something that you can definitely show in a, you know, in your portfolio. And like I said, read over, you know, the Facebook brand assets guide if you're looking for some inspiration of, you know, layout ideas, you know, do's and don'ts, something that they've done. Don't copy and paste exactly, obviously, what they've done, but it'll give you a general idea of how companies really do this. Like I can pull up the Twitter brand assets. They probably have a similar write-up. So you can download the brand assets. Here's the brand guidelines. So let's take a look at that. So the basics. And you can see theirs is laid out differently than the Facebook one. You know, color. They have everything kind of divided into sections, how you can use it. Some common misuses of the logo. Here's their color guide of what's appropriate. And then their typeface. And then the anatomy of, you know, their page, how you can set things up. So there's some really great resources for you to just kind of research when you're deciding how to put your own brand asset guide together. All right, and then we have a week 4 assessment for this week as well, implementing your professional identity. So though graphic designers are often drawn to the profession because they enjoy being creative and making things as a hobby, being a professional graphic designer who thrives within a stable career requires you to master professional self-presentation. You are your own graphic design studio ambassador, and you should be your own biggest promoter and advocate. Any client who is looking for help with and advocate, oh, I can't speak tonight. Any client who is looking for help with any visual challenge. To this end, it is fundamental that you use your own design skills to create and promote yourself as a designer. Just as a clear corporate identity structure will serve a client, so too will a clear identity structure serve you and reinforce your professional design credibility. From business cards to letterhead to envelopes to your personal website, every place where your audience may encounter your work is a chance for you to extend the story of who you are as a designer. Successful designers recognize and take advantage of these opportunities, and in doing so, develop a positive, credible reputation and a sustainable design career. So for our prompt, for this final assessment, you'll be implementing your logo on the following 3 personal elements: a business card. So you should have your logo, your phone number, a web address, email address, and mailing address. Your letterhead. And if you don't have a web address, say you don't have a website, but you came up with a name, you can make a fake web address. That's fine. But if you took, you know, either if you took one of the Muse classes and you created a portfolio, you can use that as your web address. Or if you have, you should all have Behance pages with a URL to your personal portfolio. Use that as your web address. So 3 different options there. Then you should have a letterhead with logo, phone number, web address, email address, and mailing address, and then an envelope with logo and return address. So use your color scheme and established type system to ensure that you have a cohesive look and feel. So if you tell me in the assignment that you can only pair this font or this font with your logo, when I look at these elements or these 3 items, I should see that you're following your own brand guidelines. If you say that your logo needs to have at least a 1-inch buffer around it on all sides, I should see that on your business card, your letterhead, and your envelope. You need to follow your own specifications that you've written up. So make sure that you are doing that for these items. Use your color scheme and establish type system to ensure that you have a cohesive look and feel throughout all the elements. Design your pieces first as flat files and then use Photoshop to mock them up into a 3D context. When you are finished, you will need to submit both your flat files and your mocked up files. Be sure to keep things learned in print production in mind when you're creating these pieces. Use your CMYK callouts. Add correct bleeds, but don't use a bleed on the envelope, nor put any graphics that will interfere with the address or postal requirements are needed. So you got to think about the stamp and the barcodes. All of this information is available online. The post office shows you all postal requirements for every single different type of an envelope. I used to design envelopes for one of my jobs actually, and there's a lot of requirements. So go to the post office webpage and look up those requirements, because you can create any size envelope that you want, for your business. It's really up to you. Just make sure that you are looking at the postal requirements for that envelope and you're following that. So when you have completed all parts of the assignment, save your working files as a multi-page PDF with the following: DES 242, submit your finished logo to your Behance portfolio site and email a link to it to your FPA and CC me. Best practice, always keep those native working files for future revisions if needed, even after this class is over. You will need them when you reach your portfolio or your capstone class, and then you can proceed to the remaining items for this week, which is your week 4 career integration quiz. So those are the 3 questions. You're probably familiar with it at the end of the course. Please make sure that your responses are at least 50 words per question. Don't put something general like, I learned how to be better prepared for my future at the end. I really do read all of your responses, and I do take to heart what you put. So, take some time. If you found something of value in the lecture and you thought that it helped you out, let me know. If you were a little bit confused by something I did in the lecture, let me know. What did you find of most value from these assignments? These are some great assignments, this mod. You definitely learned how to put together a logo. I mean, there's a good chance that you're going to have to do that in your future career. What have you learned from the readings, actually the videos in this course, and what? So make sure that you're really thinking out those questions, and it's an easy 15 points. So just make sure that you're doing it. Don't forget to do it. And make sure this week that you are doing those daily checkpoints. Don't forget about the daily checkpoints this week. All right, so let me pop back over to our slideshow. And I didn't even get into our agenda yet. But, I did have some announcements. Let me open that up in a new tab. So much this week. The week 4 student survey. I can't see the survey, but what I was told is that it might not be popping up until Thursday now. And I think that's a new thing. So it used to pop up, I believe Sunday night or Sunday going into Monday, something like that. But I've heard it's not showing up until Thursdays. But, the survey is definitely required by our accreditors, and it's also required that you guys take it. So we definitely want to hear from you. So make sure that you're filling that out. I don't think you have a choice. I don't think it lets you back into the course unless if you fill it out. They'll get you with that survey. All right, let's take a look at DJ's week 4 hours. There are hours Monday, 4 to 9 p.m., Thursday, 7 to 11 p.m., Friday, 5 to 11 p.m., and Saturday, 4 to 10 p.m. So some really good hours for week 4. And don't forget that Thursday is Thanksgiving. So DJ is available on Thursday and Friday, and those are 2 days that I will not be available. All right, what else? What's one other thing? Yes, the winter break contest. So next month you have your winter break, but there will be a winter carnival contest from December 17th through January 1st. The winter break contest events will begin. There will be short discussions and quizzes. There will be amazing prizes, and watch for the course and Canvas to participate. So something fun for you guys to do during winter break. They just sent that out for us to share with you today. And a reminder on the Thanksgiving schedule, there will only be one live session this week. It will be tonight, if you are here, and cover all the topics for week 4 during the session. This way you'll have some ample time to get those last assignments in with the holiday, and I will be out of town on Thursday and Friday for the Thanksgiving holiday. I will be available Monday through Wednesday and Saturday, so please make every effort to look over your assignments, watch the videos, etc. before Wednesday night, as I will not be available to answer questions as quickly as usual. And reminder, all resubmissions for assignments and assessments are due tomorrow at midnight. Anything after tomorrow will not be regraded. All right. Let me jump back over to my slides. Okay, so this is my game plan for this evening. I'm going to actually jump over into this slideshow, which would have been tomorrow's slideshow presentation. How should your logo be presented? Let's look at what Facebook and Twitter say about their logos, and then creating those print pieces with your logos, making sure it works in all situations: business card, envelope, letterhead. So I really want to take a look at that first, and if we have time, and I have a feeling we may not have time, we'll do a quick logo critique from week 3, but I really don't think we're going to end up getting to that tonight. A reminder that my telephone hours are Monday through Friday, except for this week because of Thursday and Friday, from 9 a.m. Mountain Time to 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and you can always email me. Everything is due. It doesn't even matter. This can be gone. Everything is due. Week 4 cannot be turned in late. The course will turn into a pumpkin at midnight, just like Cinderella's carriage. Your original discussion post, is due Wednesday at midnight, and you need to respond to 2 of your fellow students by Saturday and post on 2 different days. And again, late discussion posts will not be accepted. And then assignment redos are due by tomorrow, and your discussions cannot be resubmitted. All right, so schedule change, again, 1 live session tonight. This will give you some ample time during the week to get those 2 assignments done. If you do need any outside help, the Student Success Center is open with tutoring available, and no appointment is necessary. And Thanksgiving is Thursday, and I will be out of town Thursday and Friday. All right, so you have finished up your logo at this point. You've done all the things in the assignment, and you've mocked it up. You know how your logo needs to look, how it needs to be represented in all situations, and you are ready to now create a business card, an envelope, and a letterhead. So let's look at some sizes of those business cards. The standard dimensions of a printed business card are 3.5 by 2 inches. Many printed designs include a bleed. The bleed area is an extra 1/8 inch of space for design elements or backgrounds that extend beyond the finished size of your piece. And you always want to be aware of giving yourself a margin coming in from those edges for all of your important information, so it doesn't accidentally get cut by the printer. I've worked at a print shop for years, and that's the thing that always happened when things were created with the bleed and people didn't know how to do the bleed correctly. Important information ended up on the chopping block. So you can create your business card and pretty much InDesign, Illustrator, or Photoshop. People have different preferences of how they like to create a business card. I'm trying to think. I believe that I created the last one I did for our, where am I here? For our Pixel 8, I believe I did them in InDesign, and I did. Here it is. So those were the ones that I created for my husband. I don't know where the back went. Oh, and here's the back. All right. Oh, in the back. For some reason, and I did not save my native file, or he didn't save the native file. It's probably what ended up happening. Yes, you can do bleeds and margins. You definitely can. Because what you're going to do is you're going to mock these up in a real life situation. So I'm not going to create a business card. I'm going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to use my business card that's already created, and instead I'll go straight to that mocking it up in a real life situation. I will, however, show you how to do an envelope and I'll create a letterhead. So let me just hop back in here. So I'll mock them all up in the real life situations last. So let's take a look at envelopes. All right, because envelopes are probably the trickiest. So I'm going to pull up the USPS envelope design guidelines. And it's the first thing that comes up. The maximum weight, blah, 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 designing reply, letter and reply mail. Let's go to this. I believe this is it. It's been a hot minute since I've had to go to this webpage. Designing letter and reply mail. Right. Scroll, 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 scroll. So dimensions for standard letters, physical standards for letters, not less than 5 inches long and 3.5 inches high. All right, so you have, this is your minimum dimension on an envelope. It's 5 inches by 3.5 inches. This is not drawn to scale, but it shows you where certain items need to go. So you can see where the address placement needs to go, proper address placement. See, here's a proper return delivery address.
Excuse me, can you go back because your internet, I couldn't hear anything you were saying.
Okay. So what they do is the post office basically gives you an overview of every single envelope known to man, and they will show you where certain elements need to go and where you can't put certain pieces of your design. As far as the envelopes, you can create for your business any kind of envelope you want, as long as it's a real envelope size and you followed the correct dimensions. That's up to you. It's your business. So you can create whatever you want for an envelope. Just like I said, I would go to this website, and I'll put this in the slide for you. USPS standards. So that way when I share the slides with you, you'll have that link. All right, and here's a proper return delivery address. You'll see the return address tells the USPS where the sender of the mail piece wants it returned to if the piece cannot be delivered. So at the left, at least 1/2 inch from the left edge of the piece, and from the top, no more than 6 inches from the bottom edge of the piece. So you can see in this sample, here's the postage area, here's where they would put their address, and here is your return address where it goes. So most people, when they are designing a envelope, like your return envelope would be if you sent a bill to a customer and then you put in a return delivery envelope for them to put a check in to mail it back to you. So there is a chance that you would create an envelope such as this to send, along with your billing to your customers. So this is a good example of one to create. However, you would probably want a regular envelope that you are sending out with the customer. And they can be the same size. So let's go down to sizes. There's just so much information on this. Dimensions. There's postcard sizes, letter size. I'm just trying to find standards for release cards. I forget what they're called. It's like A10 envelopes or something. I can probably go on to Staples and find that. Oh, Staples, not Staples. Come on. There we go. I'm surprised nobody bought staple.com. Not gonna lie. Wait, there we go. That makes no sense. Oh my god. 9 by 12 white envelope. Yeah, sure. Here we go. All right. Here, this. Number 10, that's what it is. Your standard envelope is a number 10 envelope, which is 4 1/8 inches by 9.5 inches. So again, you can kind of go to Staples and get those dimensions. So 4 1/8 by 9.5, number 10 envelope. So I'm going to do a search and see if I can find number 10, which of course they don't show. Which is, I believe, the same exact size. I want to say it's the same size as the business reply mail. Or the other one we did. 9.5. Let me see. There's just so much information on here. Here we go. All right. You can follow the guidelines for the return delivery address one, which is page 13. That'll be fine, I believe, for your standard number 10 envelope, which is what I'm going to show you how to design today. I think that should probably be fine. I feel like it's called something. I'm surprised that it doesn't show up as a number 10 envelope, because that is, from what I remember, what it is called. It's hard to do a search in this thing, though. Number 10 envelope template. All right, maybe they have a template for us. Oh, there we go. Google has everything. All right, so your standard number 10 envelope size with a bleed, and here is all of your safe zones. So you can't have any design within these red zones. So, all right, I am going to see if I can actually download this. Maybe they have a PDF. No, they don't. All right, I'm just gonna save this image. Envelopes are one of those ones where it's like every single envelope is different. So it's basically whatever size envelope you choose to do. There might be an envelope template in Illustrator. That would be new if they have that. I don't know what it's based off of. I'm not seeing view all presets. Yeah, I'm not seeing an envelope template. Oh, simple envelope layout. What is this though? We can try it. Oh, it's you have to get it from Adobe Stock. That's why. And I'm not signed up for that. So I'm gonna create one. So I'm going to do, like I said, this number 10. And you can see if you wanted to do a 5x5 postcard, there's a template there. If you want to do a 6x11, there's a template there. If you want to do a 5x7, there's a template. There's a whole bunch of templates on this page as well. So I'll give you this link as well. So that way you have a couple of different options. So I need 4 3/8. Oh, what is 3/8? 3/8. 4.375 by 9.5. And if you wanted to design the back of your envelope as well as the front, do 2 artboards. Because if you don't design the back, oh, I did. Oh, whoops. Did it backwards. There we go. All right. So I have downloaded that template, or you can just kind of copy it into Illustrator. And I'm going to make a layer, and I'm going to call that layer template. I'm going to paste it on. And it's not exactly the size, so I'm going to have to scale this up. Make sure you're resizing things proportionally, especially these templates or template guidelines. There we go. I'm going to turn on my rulers and edit that artboard. I need to move this artboard over. Why is there a third artboard? Undo. Artboard, yeah, no. Why are they showing me that I've got like all these artboards? Artboard 5. What on earth is going on here? All right. So this will be the front and this will be the back of my envelope. That's going to be the easiest way to do this. And I'm going to lock my template layer, which, really? Why is it still? All right, something is weird with my Illustrator right now. I'm closing out of this. I don't even know what's going on here. All right, hold on a moment. My Illustrator just like lost its mind. It's like every time I clicked, it made a new artboard. There we go. All right, 2 artboards. That's all I want. Want a new layer though. Template. When things go wonky, sometimes you just got to start over. All right. So make sure this is locked. There we go. All right, now it's working. And the easiest thing for me to do probably will be to literally block off on mine where items go. Even if you wanted to get a little bit creative and put a stamp, that would be fine. You know, the post office barcode, that's where things run through the feeder that way. So you can't write anything down here. Your mailing address goes within this area. And so that leaves you with this area left to design. One of the things I will tell you though, you can't have any images in the background where these barcodes go and where you're placing your mailing address area. It won't run through the machines correctly. It'll get tossed. So they are so specific. And they have something that's running, just scanning for those barcodes. So if you design something and it has an image down here, even if it's, you know, at 20% opacity or something, you can't do that. It won't pass, regulations. Sometimes it might get through, but you never want to run that risk. That's one of the things that I have learned designing envelopes. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just block out in black the areas that I know I can't put anything. And then that way I can just turn off this template area. It just makes it easier for me to have like a visual of what's going on. And then I'll turn that off. And I'm going to name this layer postal regs. And I'm going to lock that layer and make a new layer, and this will be my design. So I want to put the wave that I have here from my business card. I'm going to put that on my envelope because I want to keep everything consistent design-wise. So I'm going to use different elements that I happen to have in my business card in my envelope. So copy that over. And that gradient kind of goes to white, so I should be all right there. And grab this part. Whoops. Copy. Actually, I should copy these together. There we go. Delete that one. Group those. You can have something that goes behind where the stamp should go. That's fine. But I would mark out, you know, an area in white just as a visual for people to see, oh, I put my stamp there. You know, just something like that. What else do I want to do? Want to put my logo, definitely. Deselect everything else. There we go. Copy that over. They need to be able to put, I need to be able to put who it's addressed to right here. And it's coming from me. Should group that. There we go. So I put that, and then I would put my address. But I might put my address on the back flap. And I want this to bleed. So I need to set this up to have a bleed. Probably a good bleed would be a 1/8 inch bleed. So I'm going to do a square that's 0.125 and 0.125. I'm just going to put some squares, and I'm going to put some rules for myself. And then I can edit my artboard as well. This is why it's, you know, some people like to do this in InDesign. Normally, I would do it in InDesign. I don't really particularly enjoy doing an envelope in Illustrator, but all of my elements are already over here in Illustrator, and I don't feel like, for time's sake, taking it all apart. Draw a line. I just really need to get that little gradient off into the bleed area. Make sure it bleeds. I can pull it out even a little bit further, it'll be fine. There we go. And doesn't show me anything for this area, so I think I'm good there. I don't want to be right up. Oh, I'm going to delete out the squares. I'm not going to leave this. I'm going to turn, I'll end up turning this off. This is just for me visually, so I can see where I can't design. But yes, normally if I was going to, I would probably make the squares white. Yeah, it's just, I need something kind of like, just like, hey, you can't put anything there. I'll get rid of these squares before I forget. And they end up part of my design. And yeah, I think that's good. And the back flap of a number 10 envelope, kind of, let me copy this image. It has like a curve to it, so I'm gonna map out where that curve is so I have a general idea. Actually, let me find a good image of a number 10 envelope. There's a couple of different options that you can do even for the flap of a number 10 envelope. Here we go. I would say I probably have this saved on my computer somewhere. I could have pulled up one of my old envelopes that I've designed. All right, copy that image. There we go. So I'm just using the internet to find the information basically that I need to know that, you know, all right, I have my envelope the correct size. I have everything else the correct size. You can even see where on this one where there's a side flap. This is how I used to have to design an envelope. Right on, I used to have to mock it up onto a template like this, and I'll actually show you how to mock it up onto a template like this. So I'm just going to follow these dimensions. I'll drop a guide. Right there. And actually, next new layer. Keep all my designs on this layer. And I'm going to use this part on the back flap. I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. Make sure it bleeds. So I'm going to pull that out. There we go. And there we go. All right, so I still have this area right here, and that's where I'm going to put my address, and it'll be cut right here. So I would make this white to kind of show that the rest of the back of the envelope is going to be white. And I believe we were using Futura. Oops. So my address here, my town, and my phone number. Probably 16-point type. And I'll center it within this area. Turn that off. All right, so I have my logo on the front. With the same kind of swooshy effect that's going on my business card. And then I have this image on the back that's going to be just on the back flap with my address here, my town. So quick little envelope. Yes, this is for the flap. Yeah. So quick little envelope mock-up. It doesn't, no. Because when it's flipped down like this, this is the back of the envelope. So I'm going to save this as file, save as. Week 4 assignment. I'm going to name it My Envelope. All right, I've got my business card. Let me do a save as for that. And file, save as. So I've got the back, I've got the front. All right, so I have an envelope right now. I have a business card right now. Next, I need letterhead, 8.5 by 11. It is, you know what, you're gonna have to go back and watch this and just kind of work along. I would just try to pay attention, you know what I mean? Just kind of watch what I'm doing right now. Basically, the problem is that, and where it might be a little bit confusing, is that envelopes are confusing. And you can create any size envelope you want. I went off of a number 10 standard size envelope because those are probably the most well-known sizes, and you can find, like I said, you can go to staples.com and see that it's, you know, 9.5 inches wide by 4 1/8 inches high. So that's why I used a number 10 envelope, and then I also put in the URL that has the regulations that show you where you can't design within, where your design needs to stay outside of. So that's why I also went with the number 10. If you wanted to use a different size envelope, you can. And that's where it's getting a little bit confusing, because it's really up to you for this assignment what you want to do. So it's kind of hard for me to show an example of everything, you know, because you can kind of do what you want. The same with your business cards. Your business card, you know, should be, should be 3.5 inches by 2 inches with an 1/8 inch bleed. So you can design your business card any way you want. This is all based off of what you put together as design criteria in your assignment. You know, that my logo needs to have so much of a buffer around it. I can only use these fonts with my logo. So it's all based on your own specifications that you come up with for your logo, for your identity campaign. So that is why it's a little bit confusing, because I'm kind of doing my own thing. Everybody's is going to be different. You can't just, this isn't an assignment, I guess, where you can just kind of follow along with me, because it's up to you to come up with your own identity campaign. I'm just showing you a couple of examples of creating an envelope and where to find the information, you know, to actually create the envelope. You know, that the post office has all different regulations, and these are their regulations, and, you know, things like that. So, so that is where it can get a little bit confusing. And that's why I'm trying to put everything together for you. I mean, a letterhead's always going to be 8.5 by 11 though. So that's one thing that's not confusing. And again, you might want to use InDesign to do your letterhead, and you can use InDesign to do your business card even, or to do your envelope even, whatever's easiest for you. I was just, my business card had been created in Illustrator, so that's why I was creating my envelope in Illustrator. And you don't have to design the back flap if you don't want to. I mean, I think, you know, you probably should design the back of your envelope, but you don't have to. Let me go back to the envelope. Let's say like you want to design not just the back flap, but you want to design underneath the flap. That's something that you can do as well. So if you want, I can kind of show you that real quick even. You know, it might actually be easier for me to show you that in, I'm going to bring these into InDesign just to, I think it might be a little bit easier for me to show you how to do it in InDesign. Hold on. I'll look up the size again. One would think I have this down. All right, 4 3/8, which is 4 point, what was it, 3? What the, really? Hello, come on. 4.325, I think, is 4 3/8, right? 4.375. By 9.5, and this orientation, no, 2 pages, not 10 pages. And I want a bleed of 1/8 inch. That looks correct. Create. All right. These out of the way. All right, so I'm going to place that envelope I just created. So here's page side 1. And to get side 2, I got to do my show import options and navigate over to page 2. And, oh, actually, this is why I was going to show you it this way. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw the flap, and then I'm going to place the image inside of that flap, and then I can design the back part underneath that flap. So that's why I was doing it this way. So let me just, I can copy this, that's fine. I don't know when it was that they changed there we go. They changed the quick keys for scaling things down a couple of years ago in InDesign, and I keep reverting back to the old quick keys, and I drive myself nuts every single time I do this. I'll line that up. There we go. All right. So I'm kind of going to just, with the pen tool, just do a quick drawing of the flap so I can see where I need to place my artwork. There we go. All right. So I've got my flap. With my artwork placed. So now I can, whoops, I can design underneath if I want. You know, I can try to maybe mimic the rest of this image. That's something I can do. Let's see if I took this out. Extend down. There we go. Something like that, maybe. Fill that space in. Wrong key. Unlock. I'm gonna hide this. File, save as 2. Try to match these up. All right, this is scaled at 102.661. Copy that. And you are at, copy you. Nope, that wasn't right. I feel like I'm almost there. Nope. Oh, I think I got it. All right. So now when the flap closes, it matches up. So that's something I can do. You know, again, might just be a little bit easier to set your, if you have an easier time setting your envelopes up in InDesign, that's fine. Again, you might want to put a little space where the stamp goes. You know, just for visual. And I'm going to export a PDF with my crop and bleed marks. All right, so I have my envelope. I have my business card done. Now I just need to make my letterhead, which is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. One thing to keep in mind when you're creating a letterhead, don't go overboard with the letterhead. I feel like it's so easy to make a design that goes down to here, and then where, you know, think letterhead needs to feed into your printer, and you need to be able to type up a letter on top of it. So don't go too nuts, you know, with your letterhead. Basically, I find that it's really easy to just kind of go crazy with the letterhead, and then you're like, yeah, and then I'll do this. That'll look so cool, and then before you know it, like everything is just like too much. There we go. I'm gonna copy this. I'm just trying to put something together quick. Like my gradient's pretty, oh, come on. Why? Okay, so it is doing that. All right, that makes zero sense. Trying to put something, do something quick and no dice. Let me make it in here. Print letter. All right. You know what? Let's just take a quick break. I know I'm kind of in the middle of doing a letterhead, but let's take like a 10-minute break. Come back and I'll finish this up, and then I will show you how to mock it up in a real life situation. I just need to run upstairs and put my daughter down for bed. So let's take a 10-minute break. It's 7:18 now. We'll come back at 7:18 my time. We'll come back at 7:28. Okay, sound good? All right, great. Put a little note. Okay, so we'll get back a little bit quicker than I thought. My daughter went right down, which is always a good thing for bedtime. Bedtime is always, it can go either way. So she was like, all right, good night, bye, see you later. So I am back. Normally I'd say you can take definitely take the full 10 minutes, but want to make sure we get to everything that somewhat tonight. All right, so where was I? I was making letterhead. Oh, so what I was saying when it comes to the letterhead is you definitely want to be aware that you need to be able to type like a full letter underneath your design. So you don't want anything that's going to be too distracting for your letterhead. You know, it's that'll, it'll take away from, the information that you're putting on the page. So you don't want to go too crazy with your design of your letterhead for that reason. And again, make sure that whatever area that you've said that you need to that you need to have for your design, like the amount of space that you're keeping with it, just keep in mind your own brand design guidelines. And as you can see, I'm just trying to quickly put something together so that way I can kind of show you guys something. Oops. So I might do, I don't know, something like this. I don't know. All right, so we'll pretend here's my letterhead. Letterhead. Okay. And then according to the assignment or the assessment, you need to design your pieces as flat files and then use Photoshop to mock them up into a 3D context. Sorry, Sean, I apologize. I just jumped right back in when I got down here. Back down. So no, you're good. I jumped back in a little early. So you need to mock them up in a 3D context. So they have not given you images with which to do that. So you're going to need to find your own images. What I would say is you can use Google for this and use all right, letter on desk or something. Find an image. Under setting tools, under size, use large and try to find a nice large image to use. Make sure it doesn't have, the Shutterstock going on over it. I believe you might have some resources, modules. Hold on. Hold on a moment. If we go into Shark, and the library possibly. There is an image repository. Resources by subject. Let's go graphic arts. Free ebooks, file extensions, free computer books. social media, Stack Overflow. They might not have it anymore. Let me see. Here we go, freeimages.com. So I get to that by going to the library page and then going to our graphic arts page. And I just did a quick search for images and freeimages.com came up. So let me see, letter on letter. I'm just gonna put in letter. Here's a good example of an envelope that you could possibly mock up. I'll grab this one. Download it. Sign in, sign up. Oh, that's the whole thing. So you'll have to make an account on that freeimages.com. So I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm just going to find a Google image to do. Which if you want to go that way, search for a large image. That'll be your best bet. Try not to have one. See how this has all of the overlays on it. Try not to use something like that. That one has it too. But that's okay. I'm going to just, even though this has, this isn't the best image, obviously, to use, just for time, I'm going to use it. I would say letter mockup. We'll do holding business card. So here's a guy. That's a good one. Holding his business card. Holding my business card. freegreatpictures.com. What else do you have? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's probably going to destroy my computer. All right, there we go. All right, let me see. What else do you have? Do you have envelope? Holding envelope. So these are all, again, I would use that free, free images. This is obviously a way better. I'm gonna save image as. Just gonna do it quick. I'm gonna do it the wrong way. If you sign up for a an account, you can download the high-res version. So that's why you definitely want to sign up for an account for this. They might even have holding business card. It's 3 options. So 1, 2, 3 right there. That's kind of a cool one. I'm actually going to do this one. And then letter. Maybe letterhead. See, I want something like this. Paper on table. No. So that would be great if it had the full, well, oh, that's, let me see. Yeah, I can make that one work. All right. All right, so this is mocking them up in real world situations. So I am going to find these images because I just downloaded like 10,000 of them. Not really, but I think I downloaded 3 of each. And let's see which one. All right, I want to use this one for the business card. I'll do that one first. I'm just going to mock up the front, obviously, of my business card. So this is where those Photoshop skills are going to come in. So what I'm going to do is I have my image open, and I need to fit my business card into this space and make it look like he's really holding it, basically. So I'm going to open up my front of my business card in Photoshop. And tile vertically, and I'm just going to drag over onto, don't save. Go. So I need to start to just kind of line it up first. So I'm going to do transform, which is Command T, and just kind of start to line up where it needs to go. I'm going to turn the opacity down too on my business card so I can kind of see through and see what I'm doing, and kind of start to maybe scale it into place. There. And holding down Command, I'm going to, after transforming, I'm going to start to bring in the corners where it needs to go. Sometimes what you need to do is you have to transform it, hit enter, transform it, hit enter. Yes, this is free transform. I just do Command T, and then I hold down the Command key, and that's what gives me that white arrow to drag up. Kind of move the points where I need them to move. Oh, smidge off. There we go. This one's just like a hair off up here. All right. And then here's my trick. I'm going to turn this off for a second. I'm going to mask out this background. There's a couple of different ways that you can do it. I like to use Quick Mask. So Quick Mask is down here, or you can hit Q to edit in Quick Mask, and you use the brush tool, and you just paint in with the brush everywhere that you want to select. So, a little bit smaller. I don't like extras. Can never see what I'm doing. I just find it's so much easier to do this with the Quick Mask tool, because if you accidentally like draw over, you can just erase. You want to get like right on the edge. Be aware of like, you know, the pixels. You don't want to have that white haze that kind of shows up. If you hold down Shift from point to point, you can make a straight line too. Little trick. A little hard to see as well. I can definitely tell you I'm sitting right on top of my computer screen right now, trying to differentiate between the white and the gray in this image. A little spot of white right there. All right. And then I'm going to use the magic wand tool to select in between where I didn't color in. I'm going to go to select, modify, expand, and I'm going to expand it by like 4 pixels just to make sure it fills in, and then do edit fill and do foreground color and hit OK and deselect it. And then when I exit Quick Mask mode, so you can hit Q again or you can select the dot, you'll notice that everything around where I painted, it has a bounding box. So I'm going to turn this layer back on, and I'm going to either delete or add a layer mask. I'm going to add a, whoops. If I add a layer mask, I need to inverse my selection. So inverse my selection, which is Command-Shift-I, or go to select, inverse. And then I'll add that layer mask. Then before I turn up the opacity, this is that's what I was just about to do, was to tell you how to keep that shadow. So I want to make sure I keep that shadow. So before I turn up the opacity, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a layer right here above my business card. And I'm going to just kind of paint in a gray shadow. Or actually, I'll probably do black, like 100% black. Again, be sure you're getting that finger. And fill that in. I can't see what these stupid guides that it puts on. The extras, and every single time, even if you turn them off, it does it again for you. It's like, no, you will have these. And then you can do probably like turn the opacity down to 20% and do multiply maybe. You just gotta kind of turn that up to 100. Oh, no, wrong way. And then just fill in where you might need to fill in. Where you get those little highlights if you didn't do it correctly. There we go. And then actually, there's a little bit of, I'm gonna make a new layer and I'm gonna put it right underneath here because this went to clear. And yeah, I definitely don't want that as a, what a default fill it chooses for you. Seriously? I just want white. What is that? There we go. All right. All right, so mocked up in a real world situation. There we go, and I would save that. I would keep the shadow. Oh, that was your question from before. But yes, for other people who can't see what your question was, should you keep the shadow? I would definitely keep the shadow. I think, you know, it makes it look more realistic. I mean, you could even, you know, if you're having trouble drawing it back in, you could just kind of copy it from the original and paste it on top or something. But I would definitely keep the shadow. So then you would save it. I'm gonna name it Mocked Up. Make it CMYK though. All right, so there's a business card mocked up. What's the next one that I was gonna do? Oh, I'll do this one next. I'm gonna put the letterhead on this one, which you won't be able to see the bottom of my letterhead, but that's okay. Again, for time. So again, I'm gonna open up my letterhead this time. And before I drag it over, I'm gonna put a white background on it. There we go. Merge those. All right. To merge two layers, you select both layers and hit Command E, a little quick key to merge them into one layer. I'm gonna tile these. That over here. Close that out. Don't save. Whatever you do, don't save your original illustrations in Photoshop. And this one might be a little bit easier. I want to get the size right before I start to do my free transform. All right. And then Command T again, and I'm going to come on. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to zoom out because it makes the bounding box like so large. All right, I think I got it. There we go. All right, and I want the pen to show through, so I'm going to change the opacity on this. I'm going to use Quick Mask again for this, and I can kind of see it's a little bit off on this one. There we go. All right. I think that's better. So again, I'm going to use Quick Mask again. And I'm going to draw over the pen this time. If it's easier, you can actually like turn off the layer that you've added the image to so you can see a little bit better. And then again, I'm going to try to mask it out this time with the shadow because my paper is white, so I can keep all those nice shadows in and just put them right on top of my mocked up version that I've added. So I'm gonna kind of follow where that shadow is. Helps. Might have to go in and do some erasing up here, but yeah, I'll definitely have to do some erasing up here. So I got that gradient there. Let's see. Hmm. Fill color. All right. And inverse that. Delete that and turn this up to 100%. There we go. The pen is now on top of my paper. There it is. To mask it, you're using the brush tool. So what I do is I put it in Quick Max and you paint with the brush tool. To do the lines, I just hold down Shift between clicking. All right, so I would save this one as my letterhead mocked up, I guess. Again, I would make it CMYK. I didn't do that. Next, I need my envelope. Was that the only envelope one that I downloaded? It must have been. All right, so let's see. Right, I needed this one. All right. I'm gonna fill in the blank space with white. And I'm gonna merge them. So I'm gonna grab both layers and do a Command E and merge them to one layer. And then I'm gonna arrange and tile my tile everything so I can just drag that layer onto this one and then close it out. And don't save. Never save over your Illustrator files in Photoshop. And you can lock your proportions just to kind of make it a little bit easier for you when you gotta start scaling things. I was trying to meet up the corners if I can. Like whatever the two furthest away corners are, sometimes that's the easiest. Okay. I hate how it still puts the bounding box as though it's straight up. That drives me nuts because I find it very difficult to kind of see what I'm doing. It's always, if you want this corner, you still have to grab up here, which can be a little bit weird. Enter, and I need to put up the opacity on this. Yes, this is my back of my letter. You can find a mock-up where it'll show the front. I just grabbed the first image I saw just so I could get something done to show you guys how to do. So you should probably try to find an image that shows the front of your letter. Or the front of your envelope, sorry, letter. Almost there. And again, I'm going to crop out this area. So I'm going to go into Quick Mask. Very quickly, just start to paint this out because we're running out of time. Fill it in. Expand it just so you don't get that haze that sometimes you get. Oh, inverse it. Oh, whoops. I had it right the first time. Don't inverse it. There we go. And just kind of clean it up a little. Whoops. Oh. And I'll clean up down here too, but I'm pretty much out of time. So I'll save that as mocked up. And when you're putting these together, what you should do is where's the assignment? You should do all of the your business card. Let me pull it up. That'll be easier. You should wrong one. Do like your business card shown flat, and then you can do your business card mocked up 3D. So let me put that together real quick. I don't know how many pages I made. So you would place, your business card. And make sure that you're really placing this correctly, not like what I'm doing right now, which is really quick, just showing you how to set this up. So you would do, all right, the front and back of my business card. Then you can do business card mock-up on the next page. Then you would do your envelope. You know, front and back of your envelope. And your InDesign, your file should be whatever the size is that your envelope is. So if your envelope is 9.5, you know, place it, make a file the correct size. Don't shrink it. I'm just shrinking it to kind of do this really quick so I can show you how to set this up. Also, I would put a border around your envelope, put a little stroke around it so that way you can see kind of where it is. It doesn't need to be like 100% black, like maybe do like 50 or 40% gray or something. Just so that way, oops, that wasn't what I meant to do. Just so that way I can kind of see your envelope and then just set it up, you know, front and back. And then you would do the next page, the mock-up, the 3D mock-up. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. But again, make sure, you know, it's professionally laid out and it does not look like this, like you slapped it together in 5 seconds, just like I did. Then you would do your letterhead. Again, if it's set up for a bleed, make sure you have it set up for the bleed. And then you would do your letterhead 3D mockup. Et cetera, et cetera. And then you would export this as a multi-page PDF. So that's how you can kind of set it up. Obviously, I would probably use the same format that you used for your assignment, you know, where you put your name and your business name for the assignment, you know, the running header. You can use that in this, so that way you have that consistent look, the same as your brand guidelines. You know, try to make these two, the assignment and the assessment, look like they go together, basically. So you want to set it up that way, and it's up to you how to set it up. This is all your design because this is your company. So if you want to, say, set this up like a booklet, like an interesting booklet that's, you know, a 10 by 10 or something, like a square booklet, go right ahead. You know, do whatever it is that you want to do to make it your own. You know, if I'm not telling you dimensions, I'm not telling you anything like that. You get to do what you want to do to make this design your own. All right, I know we went over a ton of information tonight. Do you guys have any questions before we end?
I'm having a problem. I don't know which 3 of my final logos I want to use.
Did I give you did I say in your grade which one I might have liked?
No.
Did I like all 3?
I think so.
You know what? Why don't you send me an email and we can kind of discuss that?
I'm gonna go ahead and exit. I'm good.
Okay.
Y'all have a good holiday. Bye.
You
too. Should I just send an email of the 3 images?
Yeah, well, you don't even need to send me an email of the 3 images. Just, I don't want to forget to like email you back. And I feel like I can remember I remember your submission. Well, hold on. I think I might be able to pull it up. Let me see. I'll know when I hit yours. We didn't get a chance to do our. Oh, here you are. All right. Let me go down. All right. No, it is. I liked this one. I really liked this one because I liked how the P went into the C. I was just wondering.
I saw what you did, and the fact that both of those together could technically make your Z because it looks like a backward S. Yes, I got that one.
Yeah, I really liked this one. Like maybe if you.
I tried to make it a Z, but it just didn't. It for me, I guess because I'm still trying to learn this.
Yeah.
To take this curve and try to make it a straight line.
Yeah. I would almost, let me think. Like, what if you just add like.
I try to add an angle to the end without it looking too weird. The one I really want, I think, out of the three, that's the one I think I want to go with.
I do like this one too.
Because
I like how it's like the S, but it almost looks like another S in here.
Yeah.
I like this one. I do like this one too. I was just like, and I really like this one too. Like that's fun. But I think I really think you could probably have, especially when you get to color, I think you could have some fun with this one.
Right. So I've been sitting down I spent most of the day yesterday trying to look at color schemes.
Yep.
How I wanted to go ahead and do this because technically I just cut out the white.
Right.
Like if I put it on another color, then it's that color in the back.
Right. What you can do, because it's technically cut out right now, is you can take this part and you can make a copy of it and flip it and put it in the back and then just get rid of what you don't need. But it'll at least give you that line right here that you might be missing. But, I mean, what if it stays cut out?
That's the ultimate goal of what I want to do. Like if I use a color in the background to say if I put this on, the letterhead or the business card, but I wanted to make the business card gray.
Right.
To find a color scheme that would work on gray.
Right. There's a lot that goes with gray.
Yeah. Or if I did an orange background, that the color would still go with orange. So trying to make it universal enough to.
Well, gray and orange go together.
Right.
Yeah, so those go together actually really well. So I think it's kind of like what orange you pick and then what gray you pick.
Right. So, and then because for the image itself, I was thinking, and I know I can't use the 4 colors, so I was thinking of my favorite colors, which are black, white, red, and blue.
Okay.
And try to use it to make it look patriotic.
Right, yeah, because that's where you got, it's such a fine line before you're like, I swear I'm not making the flag.
Right. So then I started thinking about maybe if I use another kind of color format, like a grayish or like a maroon or something like that, because what I was thinking was the parts that would be the M.
Yep.
Then make it one color. But that goes into the S, which I got a lot of playing around to do with this.
Yeah, and I would definitely make those color schemes, I think, in Adobe Color, because you can see them all next to each other. Yeah. And it kind of just makes it kind of makes you, see it and you're like, oh, I don't like the shade of that one so much.
Right. Because then I thought about taking the cutout portion and actually making it technically like a third color that would mix the two together. So if I use a red and blue,
Mm-hmm.
the cutout would be purple, or
Right.
if I did like I said, if I did orange and gray, define a color that would mix in between the two,
Right. Hmm.
or something like that too.
Yeah,
But
I
maybe
would just keep playing with it.
right,
I think like know what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna do one thing and you're gonna go, oh, there it is, you know?
right. So yeah, I got a lot of playing around to do because I was thinking about the second one too, but I figured to me it may be incomplete just because I mean I was just going for the P and the C.
Yeah.
But now that when you look at it, the first thing I notice is the backward S.
Yeah.
So
And I didn't even notice it until like right now. I didn't notice it the first time. And I was like, oh, and I'm like, because the P and the C come together so well that they actually make the backward S.
correct. And I noticed that when I did it. So when I'm like, then, and like you, how could I incorporate the actual Z
Right.
from what's here? Because that's where I made the little indentation, like instead of being a straight down, to give it a little bit of a like a corner look, like a slanted look for the actual lettering itself.
Yeah.
Took a little bit of time to get the actual spacings right and taking out the necessary things I needed to take out to, keep the actual shaping itself, because the S and the M is technically the same font.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So just trying to put 2 and 2 together and figuring out exactly how to process this.
Yeah. I think sometimes, you know what, sometimes you even have to just walk away from it for a minute, because I feel like the more we stare at things, it almost like the solution kind of goes further and further away.
Because the other thing and say, I don't know if this works as far as the logo goes. The way that this goes is like one shape. So I started thinking of things like, when if I added like not necessarily an outline, not necessarily a shadow, but like a second image behind it to create some sort of dimension or color as well. But I was thinking, how would that resonate if I did this in a 1-inch image?
It depends. I mean, it depends on I would say it depends on your spacing.
Right.
So let's say you did like a horizontal, like lines like this. I think if they had enough spacing, you could get away with it. You would just need to test it,
Right. And not making sure that the shadow goes inside of the actual cutout itself.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you have like a lot of good options.
Right. And then I started looking at some of the other ones I did, and I showed a couple.
And then you're like, what if I don't want these 3?
Right. I would say I showed a couple of people.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah, that's the best thing to do, honestly.
And the ones that they thought I should use, I didn't use in my final 3. Like the one I made with the P and the C in the circle. A lot of people like that one.
Let me go up to that one. Hold on.
It's number 12, I believe. And they like the one with the little
I like
custom.
this one too, yeah. Oh, this one. Yeah, I really did like this one.
And then if you go up a few more, where is it?
I like this one too. I really like this one.
I thought this one was interesting too. One, I think. This one. Everybody liked this one because of the custom C.
Yeah. I like because it's like Eden Creations.
And I didn't even notice that when I made it. I just had put a square and a circle, like you was doing. I put a square and a circle together.
Yep.
And then I started working with the lining
Yep.
of how thick I should make it and things like that. And I had cut it out thinking that the inside lining would disappear.
Yeah.
But it just merged it together and converted the line. I'm like,
Yep.
that looks interesting enough to try to play around with it.
Yep.
And so I have a few that I have that
you don't have to stick with the 3 that you picked. I mean, if you're like, you know what, this could be fun, I say do it.
right. I just don't want to find myself here saying, well, I can't think of one, so I'm going to do 3 of them and turn them all into one assignment. So it's just muddling my thoughts to one and just working on the one, because by the time things are done, I don't necessarily have to stick with the one.
Right.
But,
You know what I would actually do? I would print out, like, the couple that you're like, I just don't know. Print them out, like, put them around your house. Just, like, literally, like, printed out and tacked up on the wall. And just kind of walk around with them for a day. And like, think of, like, all right, I can see that one really well from across the room. This one I can't. It's interesting what that'll do for your perspective of something.
for my 3 final ones, I basically took my computer, I maximized them, I put them on my desk, I left, I came back and looked at them as I walked back into the room. And that's how I came up with the 3 that I had.
Okay, yep. So yeah, it's kind of a similar thing. Yeah, I think honestly, like, I mean, ultimately the choice is yours. So
Right.
it's like, you know, it's tough. I mean, I like this one. I do like this one. And then I also I really like the line work in this one, but I also like the 3 that you picked. I mean, you did some great stuff this week. It's almost like sometimes you have a whole bunch of duds and you're like, I really have a whole bunch of duds, but at least I know I have 3 good ones. But it's almost tougher when you have a whole bunch of good ones, you know?
Right. And that was me, because like I would say, I put it in the discussion last week. I actually have a logo that I use. That I was forced to make in one of my other classes.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I kind of need to push myself to put something else out there.
Yep.
Because I found out today at work that somebody was like, well, you're the one that does PZ Creations. And I'm like, yeah. So I see that your work is on Facebook. And I'm like, but I didn't put anything on Facebook.
Oh.
So people are like, I guess people that I've done work for already are kind of spreading the name out there.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's where you're like, oh, I should stick with that name then.
Right. And so I'm like, do I change it? I mean, I haven't officially put anything out there. Do I go with both?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's kind of like one of those things where you have to kind of weigh that, you know? I mean, once you put something out there, at least then you have control over it, so you can kind of direct people like, oh, I'm over here and I'm called this actually, you know? So it's kind of easy to, at this point, to kind of track a couple of things down. But, you know, that's also why it's so important to get it right from the get-go too, and be like, all right, I need to come up with a good name.
Right. Okay. That leads me into a couple of things to try to get this together, because then I started to look at these more as shapes, that like they said in the beginning of the courses. I'm starting to look at these as shapes instead of letters.
Yep, that's true. Yeah.
And so now I'm looking at it at the shape standpoint. Then you know what it says. Now to put it together as a shape and put it together as a picture. So
What if instead of having the cutout here, I mean, this is like going to throw everything. What if this was all black and you cut out right here and you cut out right here? So the S goes into the M. And then I like how you have this though.
You mean take out this part? The part on the top of the S right here? This little black spot?
I mean like take out the white. So this is all black. But then this part right here is cut out. So it's like the S goes into the M.
Oh. I never even, because I started looking at the top of that now, that I'm looking at it from your screen instead of mine.
Okay, yep.
The very top of that S, that really thin line.
Yeah. That would all be combined, and then your cutout would be here, and then you probably would have like one little piece right here that you would need to cut out. I mean, that could be interesting.
That, I think I kept the original font, but it wouldn't be nothing to merge these back together.
Right.
It's just know what the font is. Huh. I am really going to work on this.
All right.
I did not think of doing it that way, because then it's just taking off that one little piece.
Yep.
Well, two pieces. And then everything merges into. I got a lot of work to do.
All right. Hey. All right. Well, on that note, I am going to end this for this evening. But hey, I think we might have had a breakthrough here.
I think so too.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, if anybody has any questions, again, I know that this was a little bit confusing this evening, and it's always confusing when you can do what you want to do, because I don't really have something where I'm like, you have to do it this way. It kind of leaves it up to you. I will say this though, everyone, make sure that you turn your fonts to outlines in your final logos, because you don't want the fonts to fall off, and I'll try to remember to put that in an announcement for you. All right. Well, have a good night.
Can you leave like a link to those stakes for the envelope and all that stuff?
I did, yes. They're in my slides, and I'm going to share my slides with you.
Okay.
With everyone. They'll be in the announcements.
All right.
All right. Well, awesome. And I will, if you have any other questions, you can send me an email. I will definitely be available over email, just probably not on Thursday and Friday. And have a great Thanksgiving.
Yes, you too.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.